Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Marketing, Art, and Science. I'm your host, CMO Advisor, Lisa Martin. This is a show where we talk with marketing leaders, chief marketing officers about the fusion of artistry and science that defines modern marketing today. We get a look at their MarTech stacks in action. We understand how they're using emerging technologies like AI to create a really seamless, relevant customer experience. Today's guest is Laura Heisman, the CMO of Dynatrace. Laura, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
It is so good to see you, Lisa.
Yeah, we're going to have a great conversation. But audience, I want you to understand a little bit about Laura before she dives in. She's a builder. She's spent her career building brands, building businesses, launching startups, taking new technologies to market. Laura, give the audience your background, how you got to the level of CMO, and what excites you about marketing in these really modern times where we have access to science and artistry.
I will start by saying I am super passionate about what I do, and that really helps when you're leading marketing for a business. I have had the pleasure of leading marketing at great influential brands, from Dynatrace to VMware, GitHub, Citrix, and others that I have worked with across my career. And it's funny, my journey started a long time ago with well-known consumer brands. And it was within the musical instrument industry where I started.
Really interesting.
I did not have a musical bone in my body. And I just had the opportunity to start there. But I also then got the opportunity to start working on the early days of internet and tech companies, which sounds so funny at this day and age.
Yeah.
My career took these zigs and zags, and it led me to technology. And for 20 plus years now, I have been working with really respected tech companies. And I have this passion, like you said, for building brands and businesses with customer at front and center of everything. And that is what excites me about being a marketing leader.
Yeah, it's all about the customer experience at the end of the day. And as your career has evolved, and mine as well, in marketing and technology, so has the customer demand and expectation for this relevant, personalized, contextual experience, no matter what brand we're interacting with. We just expect, and we expect that it's in real time. So we're going to get to some of that in terms of how you're delivering that with Dynatrace. But give the audience a little bit who may not be familiar with Dynatrace. How is it helping companies to really simplify? Cloud is complex. Simplify cloud complexity, innovate faster and more securely. Talk to us a little bit about Dynatrace.
Yeah, so Dynatrace is absolutely mission critical to companies. This is something, the observability market, which is what we do, is something that has grown up. It is something that companies have been investing in over the years, and now it's mandatory for their business because you need to be able to observe and see what's happening in your business and protect it. And when I say that, I mean looking at your applications, looking at your infrastructure, looking at everything across your cloud complexities, and look at it smartly. And that's through analytics and automation and predicting what could happen so that your business can not just run as a business, but so that you can innovate and think about and invest in your future. And so that is simplicity in what Dynatrace does for our customers.
Obviously, a great space, incredibly important, as you talked about. Let's dig in now into the MarTech in action. You've been there for, a year or so?
6 months now.
6 months? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'd love to understand what art and science you have in action at Dynatrace, but give me a picture into the MarTech stack that you inherited, and what some of the things are that you're doing to evolve it so that that customer experience leverages analytics, automation, like you talked about what Dynatrace delivers, to provide what customers want. And that's that real-time personalized experience that is relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just say in general, I consider myself a customer first marketer. And so everything that we're doing and investing with our MarTech is about helping our customers and keeping them in mind. And you nailed it. It is an art and a science. And it's a super fun topic to discuss because so many things are scientific and data focused, but there's a human side to things as well. And you could say the same thing about AI these days and the discussion around AI, because there's a science and then there's also an art and human side to it. So interesting kind of commonalities there in the thinking. And I truly believe that it requires both. So in marketing, it's just not the same as it was 10 years ago, right? We've seen it evolve. And so what I came into was great, because the company, the marketing team, had already been doing an analysis on our MarTech. And MarTech is what our team runs on. It's what marketing runs on. It is an absolute need for the business. And there was a look back on what we were using, how we were using it, were we using it? And then it was a look at how can we ensure that we're driving value from what we invested in. And also, how do we think about newer MarTech vendors like GenAI to help us lead us into the future? And so I can go on and on about this, and I'm happy to, but that was really what I came into, and I didn't have to start it coming in. It was already underway.
Nice. I love how you mentioned, the evolution of marketing over the last 10 years. And I've seen it. I've been living in it as well as you. And it's been so exciting because now it's so scientific. It's not just about the art and the sizzle. We have so much access to data and data science to be really prescriptive and predictive with the customer. How are you infusing the data and the data science component into your marketing organization to really evolve that customer journey?
Yeah. So everything is measurable. And so there is a science to all of that. It's about setting goals and measuring and not skewing them and using the data to be able to know what's working, what's not working, what's working better. What are we spending budget on that is something that we shouldn't be spending budget on? What is something that customers are reacting better to, that prospects are reacting better to? It gives us so many lines of sight into what is happening and usage and perspective. There is the art side of it too, though, then having to decipher why is that. I'll tell you, I tell my team, I never, ever want to see an all green stoplight type of scorecard. No matter what the science tells us in marketing, we can always skew things to our benefit. We're marketers, but that's not what I'm looking for. And when I came into Dynatrace, it was interesting because I walked in saying, I don't want to see an all green scorecard. I want to know what the reality is. And that's super uncomfortable when a new comes on board and people are going, but I want to show you what our best foot forward is. But I wanted to know what the reality was. And so using the science and taking away this is a flavor of how we wanted to look at it, but instead it was an ask of raw data, raw input, and knowing more about the realities. That is what is important to me. And that is how I look at using the data that we get to be able to see how we can test, learn, and improve, iterate all the time. And, it's some of the don't necessarily stop all the bad stuff. Is there something good to be able to keep investing in? And then what's really great? And should we keep doing it? Or is it time to look at it, iterate, and update it? And so there's so many different aspects of data, as we all know these days.
Yeah. Just the dynamics within marketing. There's so much flux. There's so much change. Customers now, regardless of industry, whatever company they're with, are so self-aware and able to do a lot of this journey themselves. So that digital experience, but also that omni-channel experience has to be seamless. So leveraging that data to really I always kind of think of it as like pulling levers, the science lever, the art lever, using those two together is no longer a nice to have for organizations. With marketing teams, it's table stakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And research tells us there's 20 steps to a sales cycle. And in all of those steps, 20 plus of them are outside of the sales team. Really, the sales team is only one of them. An absolute major step in it. But everything, I would say 20 plus of those, marketing is involved in. And I say that marketer or sellers and sellers are marketers. I say everybody, I've told the company here, and I've asked that everyone think of themselves as a marketer. Because no matter where they are, they're always talking about Dynatrace. And we need that. We need that excitement around what everyone is doing. But if you 28 steps for someone to buy something, that's a lot. And when marketing is involved in a good 20 plus of them, we have to have data on what's working, what's not working. But we need the art side of it too, so that we can be creative and stand out and think about how we do things differently, uniquely, and talk about ourselves and showcase ourselves and showcase our customers.
Yeah.
And do that in a different way so we don't look and sound like everybody else, especially in this day and age where everyone just adds the word powered by AI.
Right? Yes. Yep. It's everywhere. I was just on the Schwab Network the other day and talking about the AI revolution. I said, you can't go to a technology conference in the last couple of years without AI being in the title, AI being infused into every element of keynotes, every breakout session, every executive that I interview. And to your point, you nailed it. It's the differentiation piece. How are you leveraging, we're going to get to that, but how are organizations leveraging technology, emerging technologies to differentiate rather than just, to your point, tagging on powered by AI, which is easy to do, but the proof in the pudding is really where it's at. I'd love to maybe kind of double click on your sales relationship, because you talked about marketers or sellers or marketers. How do you work with the sales organizations to really enable them to have the conversations that allow them to get Dynatrace's unique messaging through to customers once they finally get through those many, many steps to actually get to the conversation?
So I am very fortunate that I have a great working relationship with our CRO. And that's important. That we talk about table stakes, that is important. And it is not that we just actually like each other as people, we actually have commonality about goals and being customer first mindset. And that really helps, just having that foundational agreement on it is about the customer. And that doesn't happen in all companies. And so I'm fortunate in that way. And for me coming in, it's looking at it more as being the new CMO at Dynatrace, because I get to go on a listening and learning tour, and I get to hear what the problems are and and what's needed. And I sat down at our sales kickoff, which happened in May because our fiscal year starts later in the year, and sat up there with our CRO and said, I know all of you need help with explaining who Dynatrace is, because we have incredible technology. We have the best technology. Every ranking out there says it, but not enough people know us. People that use us love us. If you come to our user conference, it's like bottle up that energy. And if I could mail that bottle to every single prospect, it would be golden. You just can't quite do that. There's no physical way to do that. Right. So that, and I said to them, you need help. You need help explaining better who we are. And it was as if the 5,000 pound gorilla came off of everybody's shoulders with she's saying it out loud. She's saying what we need. And it was a huge, just good thing that happened across the business to say, this is what it is. So now we're working with the sales team with focus groups and discussions and understanding what exactly it is that our customers are saying that they need. Because they're not coming in and saying, I need to observe something. They're saying something is broken or something is breaking, or I'm moving to the cloud and I need your help with my cloud solutions. And so what are those conversations? And then how is it that we're going to help tell that story better to our customers and our prospects, and help the sales team with that? And not just the sales team, because like I said, everyone across the company has to be a marketer for the company. And so enabling them. And we're actually going through that process right now it's really fun because you get to ask that question 5, the whole rule of ask 5 whys. You get to keep saying why. Why do you say it that way? Why do customers say it that way? And you get to just, I'm in that newbie stage. I get to go and ask those questions over and over. And that's what we're doing. And then it's the evolution of testing and seeing what resonates and really helping the sales organization so that they can better talk about us and talk with customers. That is super important to the team. That's super important to the organization. And that is what I think about basically every minute of every day right now.
It sounds like a really highly collaborative environment, which is, it's one of those, again, it's not a nice to have. It's really critical these days because there's so much information out there. There's so many different competitors. How do we stand out? How do we differentiate? How are we using technology to differentiate? And also ensure that those folks on the front lines are empowered to have those conversations and to help customers understand what are your challenges? How can we help you? Sounds like you're, like I said, really collaborating with customers, with the sales organization, with other organizations within functions and units within the business to really tailor that customer journey to and really fine tune it. How does the MarTech stack help with that fine tuning? Like, are you able to leverage the MarTech stacks to identify the top, 20% of the content that you're creating and the messaging that's delivering, 80% of the impact to pipeline?
My MarTech gives us all kinds of insights. Absolutely. And what it's doing is it's helping us understand really what's resonating, what's working. And so we look at it as using our MarTech to how do we best engage with our customers? What do they react to the best? And when I say customers, I mean prospects. I mean our community. I mean our entire ecosystem, our partners, everybody. And then how are we using it as far as our digital marketing? Because our digital marketing, we can customize and personalize. And these days, right, marketing has really transformed into a digital marketing first. There's still airport ads and all those things that people think about, but that's not where the personalization and the attachment with your customers really come from. And our MarTech lets us utilize the best digital marketing tools and see what those responses are. Again, it's how we send emails. It's how we promote events. It's how we measure our impact, our ROI. Coming in as a new CMO, you can imagine, right? ROI, what is it? What is it? Just like any other C-level that walks into a business saying, what's the ROI? I looked at it that way as well, so that we can optimize spend, optimize measure, and best engage with our customers and community at the end of the day.
You mentioned, everything is measurable. What are some of the metrics that matter to you, and how does that MarTech stack enable you to glean that data and understand where the ROI is, where levers can be pulled to make things even better?
So I'm looking at 5 things for the marketing team. It is making sure we're creating a memorable narrative. So we need to be able to measure that. Making sure we're considered the leader in observability and app security. And how do we measure that? Our pipeline and how we're nurturing and how we're growing. And how do we measure that? And then it is our partner engagement that is growing for us. So how are we measuring that? And then our 5th one is how are we helping make our customers heroes? And I truly mean hero. And we want them to be champions within their business. And so how do we measure that? And there are metrics that we look at as a marketing leadership team. And some of them go up to the entire company goals. And we are making sure it's not about, like I said, is this a success and is everything green and are we hitting them? But what are we learning along the way so that we can keep improving? And that's the most important part to me is what are we actually learning?
Yeah. And with the evolution of marketing, like we've talked about, we have the opportunity to leverage that data to learn really quickly and course correct and augment things. That learning, that collaborative spirit is really essential for organizations to be able to differentiate. So let's move into our third topic. That's the emerging technology within marketing. You talked about, when you were introducing Dynatrace to the audience, you talked about automation, AI, predictive analytics. Talk to us about some of the practical applications of data and AI in marketing at Dynatrace and how that's helping you to differentiate the brand.
Yeah. So what's important to note is Dynatrace has been AI focused for more than a decade. So it's already ingrained in the business and our products. And part of the reason why I wanted to join, because you want to be joining a company that's thinking futuristic and modern. And so it is part of the DNA of the business, really. And what's interesting is our business thinks about thinks about AI. What I find interesting as the power of three. Gen AI just being one of them. Gen AI is a hot topic of right now, but we also look at it in, like I said, power of three. Gen AI. Then there's causal AI, which is exactly what that sounds like. What is the cause? And using AI to detect what the cause is and look at the anomalies so that you can deliver trusted answers. And then the other one is predictive AI. It's to anticipate the future behaviors. I call it predicting the future. So that is like how we look at it as our business: causal, predictive, and generative. Now, when it comes to marketing, we have the benefit of using that. And so we use our own technologies within the marketing department. In addition, I want to make sure we have a super modern marketing business, and that means investing more in generative AI. And that is exactly what we're doing. I did this at VMware about a year ago when I was there. We wanted to be sure that we were enabling the team to be modern marketers and test and try what was coming so that we were staying ahead of others. And coming into Dynatrace was able to bring that experience of the Marketing AI Council from VMware and start the same thing at Dynatrace so that we now have a Marketing AI Council, bring in AI tools now that we're deploying to the team to be able to do their jobs more productively, which is what is so common about Gen AI, but also to be able to do things faster, be able to accomplish things that maybe were relied upon for an agency, or you just didn't have enough time, and now you can get yourself more time. So there's many examples, happy to go into them with you about how we're using it and thinking about using it, because it's new to Dynatrace. So I get to take only a year in, I feel like, with Gen AI, but I feel like I have the benefit of now I have a second company taking my experience from the past and being able to bring it to Dynatrace.
I remember talking with you last year when you were at VMware about the Marketing AI Council, and it seemed like it was going viral in a good way within the organization. Talk about what the objectives are of the Marketing AI Council. You talked about the power of three, predictive, causal, generative, how you're using those in marketing, but give us an example of what you would recommend for organizations looking to maybe create a COE or a Marketing AI Council. What does that look like? And what are some of the results that it delivers?
So I feel like I'm this PR person for Marketing AI Council because it was such a success. And I encourage every marketing team to build one. And it's very easy to go and look, Google it or ChatGPT it or whatever tool you're using. Yep. You can find information about it because the team from VMware has continued it now that it's post-VMware. Now that they're post-VMware, they have continued their work even on sharing their stories about building a Marketing AI Council. And at VMware, it was established by a group that was super interested in what was going on in Gen AI. They took initiative upon themselves. They built this AI council. I then was at our CMO meeting, and every CMO stared at each other like, what am I going to do with generative AI? And I went back to my team and said, we need to get serious about this and really be on the cutting edge And I didn't know about this council. And they heard my questions and they came to me and presented to me.
Yeah.
Talking about forward-looking team. Amazing. And their careers have truly changed because of it, which is fantastic because they had roles, but now really they're modern marketers. Mm-hmm. But they're also experts on what's happening. And understanding that and taking that and saying, okay, what are we going to do as a marketing AI council to benefit across all of marketing, tools that can help us, everything from video scripting to content editing, which is the most common use, to just not starting with a blank piece of paper. And that's really the mindset of the Marketing AI Council, to work together to be able to think about how can these use cases be best for us. And incredible results of things like we couldn't even get on a call with an agency to help us with a program for 6 weeks. And instead we used Gen AI tools and we were done in 3 days.
Wow.
And so now at Dynatrace, we're introducing the Marketing AI Council again. And it's always start, I recommend, with who wants to raise their hand, not who should be on it, but who is going to raise their hand and say, I want to be part of that and be more active. Some people are scared. Some people are way more advanced. It's good to have a combination of both and form a team that wants to explore and learn together and let them do that. But you also have to invest in something. So whether it's a decision to go with ChatGPT or Jasper or Writer or many of the other tools out there, you need to think about how to do that because your team needs to have, I keep saying the modern marketer, but they do. Otherwise, they're gonna lose out to every other marketer that's out there that is figuring out how to utilize Gen AI for their benefit.
Do you feel any pressure to show results? I mean, Gen AI hopped onto the scene 18, 20 months ago, and it just catalyzed this whole movement. And I was talking with Schwab Network last week, as I mentioned, about the AI revolution. And there's so much focus on some of the hyperscalers and the Magnificent Seven companies to show where's the proof in the pudding. If this is the $600 billion annual investment, where are the results? Do you feel any pressure to show results of what you're doing with Gen AI? Because a lot of companies that I talk to are really in the early pilot project phases of rolling out Gen AI and really working on gleaning efficiencies. Ultimately, I think that ties back to things like being able to get message testing done faster or overhaul parts of the website so that the person goes from prospect to opportunity faster. But is there pressure within the organization to really show this is what our investments in Gen AI and causal AI and predictive are delivering?
It is an absolute question from the start. I think especially Gen AI, because it is the hot topic and the trend. And we all hear stories of the bubble's going to burst or this is all in. There's so many contradictory messages about what it is.
Absolutely.
But I look at it as, I've done this now twice. You have to make a business case why you're buying a tool, why you're investing in anything. And it has to go through security review. It has to meet your privacy requirements, all of that. Those are key. And when I worked with some vendors, it's helped me understand that, make it easier for me. Don't make me have to just make that use case. Please give me the insights and make that part of your proposal. And that's important just from the start because it is a question of just even the security, the privacy, and then the activity. Now, I had the benefit of experiencing this before even coming here to be able to see the productivity gains that the team was experiencing. And I will also say employee happiness. Employee happiness scores during a major acquisition increased because of the use of Gen AI tools, which seems like it's an oxymoron in itself, but people were experiencing something and growing in their own careers and giving them a great learning and development opportunity. And so that matters too for keeping great talent, but it also, I can sit down and say, I have seen it work in saving this much time, therefore this much dollar. To me, it is about time and it is a cost. And so being able to move faster, be able to test things like you were talking about, being able to test something that you built using Gen AI versus using a human. I don't think that this Gen AI to me is not replacing the human.
Agree. Yes.
It goes back to the art and science discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting to be able to do some of that testing as well. And we're super big here and I'm super big on test and learn, right? Yeah. So it gives you an opportunity to do that, I think, faster and not from a blank piece of paper.
Yeah. Yeah. But something that caught my attention when you were talking about, the employee experience improving during a major acquisition. The employee experience, I always see it like employee experience, customer experience, like this. They're inextricably like, if the employee experience is positive, it's productive, it's efficient, it's creative, then that directly impacts the customer experience. I think you can't separate them, and I think that's a good thing. But it sounds like you've got to have a recipe, if you will, for not just the Marketing AI Council, but really using emerging technologies to drive results. You talked about, the use cases, and I'm sure that's regardless of if it's a Gen AI app or not. Gen AI just has the spotlight on it right now, and that's going to continue for some time. But you're seeing results. The business is seeing results. Customers are seeing results, and employees. Now that's a fantastic foundation. Last question for you. Looking back on your history and your career, is there a business initiative or a marketing initiative, we call this section Fail to Fab, that we love to end the webcast with, that wasn't going according to plan, that you guys stepped in and said, we're going to course correct, we've got to make, improvements here. And you did, turning that failure, or if you will, into a favorable win?
I would say that failures help us become fabulous every single day.
Yes.
We learn from our mistakes, don't we? We tend to remember the mistakes more than we remember the successes, for good or for bad. Yeah. I will share one that I think stands out because it really talks about the power of customer transparency and relationships. So I was at a company, and these types of things do make news, where there was a hack using a customer site, but it was using our technology. And this was a number of years ago. And someone, a bad actor, got a password through some very creative ways, I will say. It happens. We hear it. We read about it. But it could have been a PR nightmare. We feel this in our personal lives every single time we get a notice that someone has compromised a password or whatever it might be. It was the debrief. It was the very technical debrief that we shared very publicly as we researched the incident and shared the facts. It wasn't hypothesis. It wasn't trying to mask anything. It was pure fact. And we took the community through all of our learnings, and it was a journey. It wasn't a one and done. It was taking them through it as we learned more, so that they wouldn't get into the same trap or into the same incident. And it was engineering, it was security, it was privacy, it was marketing, it was comms. It was all of us together, true collaboration. And that won the hearts and the minds of our customers and our community at the time. And I will say from a marketing perspective that communication is key. Someone once said to me, communication is so important, but it always falls to the 11th item on my list of top 10 priorities. And it can't be that way, especially today. Communication is essential, and being transparent with your customers and learning from those incidences, from those outages, from those problems that you have that make it difficult for your user, your customers, your partners, whoever it is that's engaged in having a problem, and sharing what happened and not spinning it. That is where you earn trust. But not only where you earn trust, but your customers know if they end up in a challenge, that we'll be there for them because they were there for us.
exactly what I was thinking when you were talking, is that transparency is converted to trust, and trust is currency. When you establish that with organizations, even through failures, I always say failures is not a bad F word. It's like liquid gold. That's such a great failed to have story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being on the program, Laura. This has been so inspirational, educational. I really enjoyed learning about your background, how you're infusing technology into marketing, how you're using it to collaborate really well across the organization, up the stack to the CEO, and how you're looking at the power of three from an AI perspective to differentiate the brand. This has been a great conversation. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. So good to catch up with you.
Likewise. We want to thank you for watching and let you know that in a couple of weeks, the next episode of Marketing, Art, and Science comes out. For Laura Heisman, I'm Lisa Martin. See you next time.